Just one show.
Most of them,
everything else?
Most of them, we had women. And that's why we decided when this opportunity came, we decided to take it upon ourselves. That
we want to thank
I decided not to ask them any questions. I would ask you as a doctor. I was like, let them take the nini.
No, because what we wanted to do was we wanted to bring to the forefront that men themselves even do have a problem. You cannot defer the blame to the women, because everywhere we go, we always hear, oh, mwanamke, oh, this, haizi kapata mimba. And kumbe, again, it's the jama.
Yeah.
But even given the opportunity, even an opportunity is presented, you've got the money to want to go and get tested or to find out, your soldiers' career, are they Omanyala? Or are they Kipchoge? Ama wanados too? Ama you're just chilling, you're just running circles. You don't. We don't. But it is a very important conversation, especially for guys. If you want, find out you yourself personally. Kama wewe mwenyewe. And actually, and I don't think he mentioned this, but if your joints don't descend into the cup, surgery has to be done, because those ones can probably give you cancer.
Yeah.
We left this HPV conversation somewhere hanging. I need to come back to it, and the fibroids topic too. But I think that the one you did address it, in the sense that there are several steps to treat this fibroids, to the treatment plans for them. Although in surgery you might decide this is not a good idea, just remove the uterus, and that is just it's a risk in any surgery people are doing.
Yes.
HPV, you did say there's pushback about parents saying we don't want to have girls vaccinated because this is going to make them promiscuous. But now they've introduced the male vaccine, and there is also pushback to that. How do we help people see the importance of this?
Number one is to change, because we have to talk about this. Remember when the HIV was discovered? Nobody wanted to talk about HIV. And it was a taboo subject.
Yes.
And you'd see guys who are withering and became a Slim's disease, and later on they die. And it harvested, from the lowest to the uppermost echelons of society. But when people accepted and people started talking about it, music, music stars, film stars, politicians, etc., started talking about HIV, and then later on they discovered that we can give them medications, and these medications, can actually increase the survival rate. Magic Johnson, you remember when he came out and said, I'm HIV positive, and I'm taking these drugs. It was a huge boost to what HIV. So nowadays, I see couples who are HIV positive. So what? That is the attitude.
Okay.
I'm HIV positive, so what? And actually, most of them, you will never see an HIV patient who is that thin and Slim's disease or whatever it is.
Yeah, that disappeared.
It disappeared.
It totally disappeared.
It disappeared.
Yeah.
However, we do see some of these patients. Some of them are tragic. Very young girls, 19 years, 20 years, 23 years. They come with cervical cancer stage 3, stage 4. Yes, they do.
Wow.
Yes, they do. So
this is HPV related.
Usually, when you have HIV, the HPV related, cervical cancer comes a lot earlier, because you remember your immune system is completely, completely down. So this is what we need to talk about. And we need to start talking about it actually from primary school, secondary school, even in university. But we don't do that.
Reproductive health.
We need to talk about reproductive health. We need to talk about sexuality, age-appropriate sexuality education. But again, there is pushback, especially from the church, say, don't talk about sexuality education. You will be over-sexualize our children. Don't talk about contraception because you want our children to be promiscuous. Don't talk about IVF treatment because women, couples are supposed to have children naturally the way God intended, and so on. And the consequence of that is that we are having in Kenya today over 20,000 adolescents pregnant between 14.
Because we're not having sex education.
Because we're not talking about it.
Yeah.
We're not talking about it. So coming back to your question, what do we need to do? We need to talk about it in every social, forum that we have. We need to engage experts. We need to talk with the religious leaders, the imams, the sheikhs, the priests, the pastors. We need to talk with the educators, the teachers as well. First of all, equip them with knowledge, and then now let us talk about it. Of course, the results will not be there tomorrow. The results will be after maybe 10, 15 years. When we see that cervical cancer, which kills about 2,600 women every year, actually reduces. And it will reduce by some of these preventive measures that we put in place.
Now, I know, Daktari, in addition to what you're saying, I think it's good to even provide context in terms of educating our youth.
Yes.
Because listening to one of his interviews, he talked about a 14-year-old girl in Poland, where he, by the way, got his training and graduated from. In addition to that, maybe you can touch on that in terms of educating our kids, because there are certain myths, there are certain urban legends that circulate among our kids, not even us, even as adults, that can affect. And maybe you can maybe if you don't mind retouching that story about the 14-year-old.
Okay, as you do that,
yes,
another addition to that. Because the male vaccine, HPV, just came the other day.
Yeah.
And men up to 45 are eligible to take it.
Yeah.
Can you just give them a call to action?
Allah?
Because I got my vaccine
Yes.
at 23. I did not even know what it was. My daughter told me this is important for you to take it before you ever become sexually active. So I was like, okay, my daughter's telling me to do it. Let me do it.
So let me do
but
it.
But then men, because it's very new.
Yeah.
You all need to go get this vaccine.
So at 23, so I'm just doing mathematics.
No,
I
was not sexually active.
No.
I was just given the vaccine then.
Mathematics. I was just doing mathematics. Daktari, carry on.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's start with Poland.
Now,
because we're loading Daktari with
Too many
questions.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a well of resources and source and information.
I got a scholarship to go and study in Poland. When I arrived in Poland, I did not know a word of Polish. I only knew two things about Poland: that the capital was in Warsaw, and that the Pope at that time was actually Polish.
But then, can you say something in Polish?
What do you want me to say?
Anything.
Anything.
Here, we are here today.
Dzisiaj jesteśmy tutaj, razem, prawda, dyskutujemy nad tematem, którym jest bardzo skomplikowany.
I totally agree with you.
You are on point like a decimal, bro. Ni sawa tu.
Ni sawa.
But even your matusi iko on point.
Ni sawa. Yeah. So I think that's right there. That's a story in itself for another day. But you're talking about
So I was working in Poland, and this mother brought her daughter to me. It's 14 years. So as I was taking the history, and they told me that they had taken her to a pediatric hospital because she started vomiting, and they didn't know what the problem was. So she was taken to this pediatric hospital, and believe me, they did all the tests that are possible. They even did what is called a gastroscopy, putting camera through the mouth and into the swallowing duct, into the stomach, to see whether there's a problem there. And they couldn't find anything. They transferred her to another specialist hospital, try and find out what is wrong with this girl, who wherever she eats, she's puking, and we can't seem to find the reason why. They did more tests, all of them were negative. And then one of the doctors said, you know what, why don't we just do an abdominal scan? because we've done all the tests and we can't find a reason why she's puking, 3, 4, 5 times a day. And when they did a scan, there was a beautiful baby growing in the uterus. I think it was about 15, 16 weeks.
Nobody
said this girl is pregnant. Take her to a gynecologist. Nobody thought
doing
to
a pregnancy
ask her.
test.
Nobody. I mean, she was 14 years old.
Yeah.
Did
And
she have a period?
Nobody asked her about her last period, because I think the mindset was she hasn't started her period.
Yeah, she's 14.
Or
and
she will
She's-
not be engaging in this.
Exactly, yeah,
Okay.
she's 14. It's
So,
natural not to think of that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So when she came to me, I asked her, it sort of, hit me. And I asked her, did you ever have in school, did they ever teach you about sexuality education? She said, no. I said, what about your friends? You said the myth that was circulating amongst our friends was that if you have intercourse standing up, you can never be pregnant. And she had intercourse standing up under the stairs, by the way. Under the stairs. And she got pregnant. And she got pregnant. So it has stuck in my mind. This is what we need to talk to our children about. Not to wait until they're in the first form in secondary school or whatever it is.
Yeah.
We need to start to discuss these issues when they're in primary school.
Yeah.
That is why I said age-appropriate sexuality education.
Yeah.
That when they see this happening, this is what is happening to your body. When you start seeing the breast starts coming out, it is not an issue. This is a natural process. We need to open these discussions in our homes. What used to happen in the past was that we had aunties and uncles, who would sort of walk you through this. Your first period, they'll come and tell you, that is normal. But the aunties are not there now.
No.
The uncles are not
We
there now.
don't live around each other.
We don't live around each other. What we have now are our peers, and our peers, of course, will give you information most of the time which is wrong. And something else is the internet. Of course, it has huge amount of information, which at that age you don't know which one is okay and which one is not okay.
Don't know how to process
So
it.
we as parents,
Thank you.
we need to talk about this in my family, because of by virtue of my profession. This is something which my daughters have had me talk about, about this. They've had me talk about how are your periods, when did your period start? Or, doctor, I did a test and my sperm test result is not good. And I start explaining, So by virtue of that, it sort of came out naturally. My daughter knows everything about IVF. I mean, she can talk you through IVF because she's been hearing me talking, asking questions. And my son also the same. So I did not have that problem. My wife also sat with them and walked through this with them. But how many parents have that chance? So we need to shed this thing of shame that having a period is shameful. There's nothing shameful about it.
Yeah.
It's a
nothing
natural occurrence.
It's
It's just
a
natural.
natural process, because without that period, then this young man would not have been here.
Yes.
So we need, like yesterday in capital letters in red, we need to talk to our children. We need to discuss, not talk to them, but discuss with them,
And
because they will have questions.
Yeah, and actually know some organizations that are not only, because this thing of distribution of sanitary towels,
Yes.
unfortunately it's become like the cool thing to do. So you have a lot of people who are doing it just for the photo ops.
Yes.
But then you have some good organizations that are actually not just distributing them, but they're going into schools and educating, like the girls and talking to them about it. And even within those same schools, they also go talk to the boys about it, which I think is a good thing.
It's
'Cause
very
there's
positive.
There's a government program for distribution of the sanitary towels. I don't know exactly how that works. I don't know whether it's just, like this school receives this, dump them there and then go. I don't know how the government program
Can I
works.
talk to that?
Okay.
Because in primary school, from when I was in class 6, and that's why, as Rosie said, my IPA information is out here for everybody to know. I am a brand loyalist of always for sanitary pads, And the reason is they would come to school, they would walk us through, of course there was biology, but having this person come with pads and they'll give them to us for free. I mean, they'll give them to, even before your period began, they will walk you through how to wear it, like how you put it on your on your panty, the entire thing. They will show you ikija inakaaje when you need to throw it out, So like from that I became very comfortable knowing what to do. So I think that, and then out of that conversation, then you're told, so umeanza kupata periods, these are the things you need to be careful about, and I think I like, there were programs, but of course there was a brand coming to but I would say it's made me a long time.
And just piggybacking on that story, it takes me back to when I think I was in class 5 or 6. I'm not sure whether mom is listening to this, but there was a time when these always commercials were coming on TV, and there was a day when family too, there were other people, like cousins, or just a lot of people at home. This commercial came on TV. I'm like, what is this always thing? Na nikauliza hapo, like when everybody was there. Yeah, I'm like, hii kitu ni kitu gani there? Wanamwaga ink nini? Yeah, I mean, there was an aunt of mine who gave an answer, but it was just an answer to brush off that topic because, but I'm thinking, like, because I was a curious child. So I was asking, but later on is when, like I got to know, I got the answer from friends in school. Because, in school, there's always that kamjuaji, like who has more information. So I think, like we need to have structured ways of which, because the first teachers to children are parents. Whether you like it or not, you're the first teacher. So we probably need to educate parents on
especially mothers.
Yes, and mothers especially. How they need to talk to their kids. And then, of course, the teachers in school, the community, the community structures, the churches, the mosques, and other places where people go. And even the places where men go, because there's that issue. The easy thing is to say, like men are just irresponsible, they don't want to do this. That's a very easy thing to say, which is very popular and people like throwing it out. But I like the qualitative approach that you take, whereby we try to find out the problem, because you've gone around the world, you've discovered it's a global issue. It's not only an African issue. So there's definitely something that's not being done right, which needs to be addressed. And as we come down to wrap this up, we're gonna get there, but like we're running out of time. But as we just get to wrap this up, I want to know, is there infertility that's irreversible, meaning umefika mwisho, like there's nothing that can be done? I have all the money in the world, I have everything that's needed for treatment, but there's just nothing on the other side.
But soldiers wamegoma, they're on strike.
Okay, even if the soldiers are on strike, we really can't say that sasa tumefika mwisho kabisa, there's nothing that we can do. As you said, you have all the money and you have all this, their options are there. So you say, okay, if the issue is sperms, the number is not where it is supposed to be, motility is not where it is supposed to be, the normal forms are not where they're supposed to be, we can give you medications. We treat that. If the issue is blocked tubes, for example, we can circumvent that by doing IVF. If the issue is age, especially for ladies 35 and above, where the number of eggs has reduced, the quality is poor, we can circumvent that by using donor eggs. If the issue is azoospermia, there is no production of sperm, we can suggest donor sperm. Sometimes we use donor sperm and donor eggs, and the wife, the lady carries the baby. Sometimes you can use donor sperm and donor eggs, and we use a surrogate. If there's a problem with the lady, for example, she's had brain surgery, for example, she's had cardiac surgery, for example, or she had her womb removed, for example, where she's not able to actually carry that baby, or she has had a series of miscarriages, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12. Had a patient who had 12 miscarriages. So that one, there is a problem somewhere. So we can sort of circumvent. There are ways we can circumvent these problems.
So the key is for people to have an open mind.
Have an open mind
Yeah.
and come, and we talk you through the options.
Okay.
So we shall see that you cannot have quote unquote what's called biological child, is you can have donor eggs, donor sperm.
Yeah.
Then you can have a baby.
You'll
that
have
way.
a baby.
It will not be
Okay.
biological as
Yeah.
you'd want it to be, but it is a baby.
The moment that baby starts kicking in your womb,
Yeah.
it is your baby.
It's your baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is your
No, what I meant by that, because
Yeah.
people do try to like lazima we wangu in the sense like
Yeah.
damu yangu, like
Yeah.
for my DNA, so
yeah,
to
that
say.
is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, in African society, people, a lot of times people used to raise kids who are not their own. And it was a very normal thing, you know, like, and you know, like even within our family, sometimes we've grown up,
Yeah.
and then that's when you're told, oh, Flani, you know, like, was not even part of the family, alitumwa tu Nairobi kuja kusoma,
Yeah.
but the way they were brought up,
It's like
yeah, they were brought up like part of the family. So
if I in that same vein, there was
Yeah.
research which was done in the UK, and similar research was done in Kenya. Can't remember whether it was 3, 4, 5 years ago. 34% of the children that we bring up, men, they're not ours.
wow. I think we need another show for that.
Many ateke.
34%.
34%.
Daktari
Okay.
anakuja na
No,
violence.
I think those are standards from Suneka.
Eh?
Those guys.
34%. So ma DNA zikifanywa kuna vile kutakuwa na ma surprises.
Yeah.
Because remember
Okay.
what Daktari said,
Yeah.
20% Africa.
Infertility
Jamas,
issue.
men infertility.
Men is about 35 to 40.
35.
Oh, 35%.
35%.
So
So,
it collates.
so,
though.
so,
It
so,
collates.
so,
It
so understand one thing. If you're in a relationship na bibi hashiki, you can't be blaming her fully. What you need to do sometimes is
Go
look
get
in the
checked
mirror.
out.
That is one.
Yeah.
Two, go to a specialist.
Yes.
You need to find out one, if your soldiers wako, if they either they are Usain Bolt, no, sorry, Omanyala, or if they
Kipchoge.
are Kipchoge, or
African boy.
wanafanya hivyo tu wanazurura
Rotating on your own
hapo tu
axis.
ama
Yeah.
wamedoze as in nothing
Hawaendi mahali.
haendi mahali.
Yeah.
So, you know, daktari,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it is important because many people, all of us, you know, I mean, we go into relationships thinking automatically
Yeah.
Everything is okay.
everything is okay.
Yeah.
And I remember one time, you know, Dr. in one of his interviews, you know, like some of us guys are told, wait, by the way, don't cry. Because wewe ni mwanaume.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, hata ukiangalia dem vibaya anaweza pata mimba. Unakumbuka ile story ya Makamende?
I know, yeah.
If you kiss her,
Yeah.
ukimbusu hapa, anaweza
Yeah.
pata mimba. Be careful. Only to find out that wewe gutire soldiers nonsense. The whatever did not descend. And we, like you said, you know, again, there needs to be that discussion. One, two, do not be afraid to go and talk to a specialist, aka Dr. Omanwa, 5th Gong Road pale, 3rd floor, 304,
314.
314.
Yeah.
Number iko pale nimeipin because, and it's actually cheaper to go there
Yeah.
to manage my challenges
Yeah.
versus here. But it is important if you really want, because some women, and I, again, if you guys haven't seen his videos, a woman is, if she's willing to want to have a baby, she'll go at any length.
Oh, yes.
And I remember him doing an interview where there was a lady,
I
it
don't
doesn't
even want to hear
matter,
that story. That story is just graphic.
but the lady was willing to
To do.
want to have a baby. So whatever it took for her to be able to find out if she can,
Yeah.
they have even the harvesting. And I remember, I think you talked about it. It was even himself, he was cringing narrating the story.
Alisikia uchungu.
Ile mbaya.
Yeah.
Daktari,
No, but I think,
can
but,
say it,
but-
okay.
Yeah,
but I think bottom line, there needs to be a forum, you know, rather than laying blame.
no,
The-
absolutely,
dating.
never.
Yeah, there needs to be a forum.
Yes.
Where this becomes normal. I think one
The
way,
OneMicShow is
wa-
it.
wa-
I'm just
one way,
saying for
one
a
way of normalizing it is having it included in the annual checkups. I don't know who makes decisions on what goes into an annual checkup, but I think this just
Insurance
needs to be
companies.
something standard.
Insurance companies.
Yeah, and that becomes a problem.
Yeah, insurance companies, fertility, no.
Yeah, and that becomes a
they become a
problem. That's
problem.
an issue with the
It's becoming a little bit better
with the
where
healthcare
the initial-
system.
But
the
also-
initial, they check you.
But
They
also,
pay for it.
it's important to have a discussion, even in a relationship.
Yes.
If you're
Correct.
meeting
Don't
somebody,
assume each other.
don't assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is important because there are people who don't have kids. They don't
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
There's some people who want to have kids. So it's one of those. Nikiingia huko ndani, first I'll be like, you know what, I'll convince that one I don't want kids. But because the person is so tall,
No,
or the
have-
person is so
have that
akona haga, sijui akona nini, alafu tunaingia huko, alafu tunakuta vindu vichenjanga. But it is important.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. And this is a topic for another day.
Yeah.
But it is important to have that conversation heart to heart with your partner.
And I think also the media. I was talking to Doctor before the show. One thing that we noticed is that even the media houses, most of the media houses, and I know this is not in your control, Doctor, most of the media houses you went to, they're providing female journalists to cover these topics. I mean, I know there might have been men.
There was one.
There was one.
Just
but
one show.
Most of them.
Everything else,
Most of them, we had women. And that's why we decided when this opportunity came, we decided to take it upon ourselves. That
And we
gonna
want
I
to
even
thank
decided
this
not to ask them
conversation.
any questions. I would ask you as a doctor. I was
Yeah.
like, let them take the nini.
no, because
That's
what we wanted,
questions.
what we wanted to do was we wanted to bring to the forefront that men themselves even do have a problem. You cannot defer the blame to the women because everywhere we go, we always hear, oh, mwanamke, oh, this, haizi kapata mimba. And kumbe, again, it's the jamaa.
Yeah.
But even given the opportunity, even an opportunity is presented, you've got the money to want to go and get tested or to find out, are your soldiers' career, are they Omanyala? Or are they Kipchoge? Ama wanados too? Ama you're just chilling, you're just running circles. You don't. You know, we don't. But it is a very important conversation,
Yeah.
especially for guys. If you want, find out you yourself personally.
Yeah.
Kama wewe mwenyewe. And actually, and I don't think he mentioned this, but you know, if your joints don't descend into the cup, surgery has to be done because those ones can probably give you cancer.
Yeah.
But that is earlier. But later on, once we discover in adulthood that they did not descend, then most of the time they're removed.
They removed. No, unatoa. So I think it is a conversation, jamas, dudes, guys.
Call to action.
Don't wacheni kuangalia madem. First and foremost, look in the mirror. Are you the problem? If you think you are not, make sure that you can certify and justify that you're not.
Now.
Enda ona pale Dr. Omanwa.
Yeah.
Alafu mfanye test because his videos are amazing.
Very.
The content is so rich, and again, like you said, it's not that he's doing who or whatever, but even possibilities of not being able. He gives both the women and the men's side, but just muone.
Yeah. And I know there are so many comments.
So many comments.
There's so many
Can I
questions.
read some of them?
There are so many questions.
No, I'm just reading the comments.
Okay, read the comments, then we'll wrap
Okay,
up.
just read the
Really?
comments and
Mi
we
niko
wrap
na
up.
swali
Yeah.
moja mukifika hapo.
Eh,
So yeah, go ahead and read the comments.
Okay. I'm just gonna go read all of them. Sex education is a must. Religion is
Lazima.
the elephant in the room when it comes to this topic. Doctor, please. Okay, never mind. Sexual education should be as early as preschool. We start by teaching them about agency over their bodies and being on the lookout for predators. Slay says, that was Washeke. Slay says, I always tell my daughter, no one is allowed to touch you. No one. I found myself in the doctor's office with Stephen, in my doctor's office with my daughter, and decided the sex talk for me. And I was like, Allah times 3. They made it easy for me. It felt a bit easier, and my daughter and I were not uncomfortable. I guess I was a lucky man. Lolata, very true here. In the West, the kids are taught which body part you don't allow anyone to touch, and if anyone does, you report. Hysterectomy ni mwisho. And a lot of we don't talk about it because we have concluded sexual education is about sex, is about having sex, when it is much more than that. 100% true. Goshiani sperms are just like whatever that is. Oh, this never mind. We used to be told you sit on a chair that a guy was sitting on immediately after the guy left, you would get pregnant. You know, stigma.
Myths.
I know stigma and traumas in this topic in our society is what needs to be fired upon. The heart-to-heart conversations regarding your sexual productivity with your significant other can be challenging. I don't know why you're married to that person, by the way. But anyway, can the doctor come back next week? Are they marching in the army, calling them soldiers? Thank you, OneMicShow, for highlighting this very important topic. Culture is our biggest setback here. Guys in Kenya will not check.
By the way, guys, listen. Doctor's information, we've pinned it. If you want it, we'll give you. If you're into 54 and you know somebody, 5th Avenue, offices, Gong Road, 3rd floor, room 314. Kireki Omanwa at gmail.com.
Yeah, and we'll give the Daktari an opportunity to give his other details of people want to call him or email him.
Whatever number.
Let's get to a more question and then we wrap up. Yeah.
Whatever it is, because this we can have like 2 weeks of this conversation.
So Daktari, mine is a very simple one. Can you, in a summary, explain how what PCOS is and how it would affect the whole infertility chain?
Okay. PCOS, as the name says, is polycystic ovarian syndrome. Actually, it's a misnomer in itself when you say it ovarian, polycystic ovaries, meaning there are many cysts on the ovaries. But when you talk about a cyst is basically a collection, a structure which has either fluid or some other substance in it. So when you talk about ovarian cyst, you have what you call simple cyst, which has clear fluid in it. You can have what is called a hemorrhagic cyst, which has fluid and blood in it. You can have an endometrial cyst, which has old blood in it. You can have a teratoma, which has different parts. You may have teeth, you may have fat, you may have hair in that cyst, and so on and so forth. But this is not the type of cyst that we are talking about. Here we are talking about small structures which are about 10 millimeters or less, which are many, and they are arranged in a certain way, in a concentric way. When you do a scan, it looks like a pearl necklace. You know the way the pearls appear.
Yeah, the stones are joined. Yeah.
Yes. Now, a simple way to actually explain what the problem is, for example, here. How big is this room? About how many meters?
Maybe 20.
Let's say about 20. Now, we are 6 of us here. Imagine we are 20 of us here, or even 30 of us here, and then somebody says the fire alarm goes on. What will we want to do? All of us will want to get through that door, isn't it?
If one mic doesn't crash us first.
Yes. Now, when we get to that door, because all of us are agitated, we'll actually all of us get stuck at that door.
Correct.
So we'll remain inside here. So in a simple way, that is what polycystic ovaries basically that sort of graphic presentation. In that, at the time when because a woman produces 1 egg every month, by the time when it gets to that time when she's supposed to produce 1 egg, there are too many of them which want to come out, and none of them comes out. So they are stuck at a certain level. All of them are around that 10 millimeters, and they don't grow further than that. Now, how does this affect fertility? It does affect fertility because that process in itself of releasing 1 egg is actually not complete, or sometimes it takes very long.
Irregular.
Yes, sometimes takes very long, or sometimes it doesn't even happen. I had a patient who has a period once every 2 to 3 years. So if that one wants to get pregnant, it's not possible for her to get pregnant because she does not know.
Normal.
It's absolutely very, 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 very abnormal.
Yeah.
Now, again, it is a syndrome because in a syndrome, you have very many symptoms. And some of these patients, you have a small percentage of these patients who will have actually no symptoms at all. they have regular periods, they get pregnant, they have no issues at all with their hormones and so on. And then you have a small percentage who have actually most of these symptoms. They are overweight, they have issues with irregular periods, they have hair where it is not supposed to be, they have low libido, they have issues with bloating, issues with thinning of the hair, and so on and so forth. And most of them are actually in between here. So polycystic ovarian syndrome is a big problem. As I said, it affects about 10% of the young women who come because of issues of infertility, because most of the time of the irregularity of the periods. The ones that have no symptoms at all and they get pregnant and deliver babies, actually that is discovered coincidentally. They've come with another problem, and when you do a scan, you say, has somebody ever told you have polycystic ovaries? You say, no, I've never. Do you have regular periods? You say, yes, and so on. So this is the challenge that we have with these ones who have irregular periods, have issues with their hormones, sometimes have issues with, in the future, they usually can have issues with diabetes. They may have issues later on with endometrial cancer, and so on and so forth. So, yes, it is a challenge.
So is a quick treatment for that to do birth control, or is there a surgery?
Now, again, it depends. It depends on what these patients want. If it's a young patient and the issue is irregular periods only, then the treatment is completely different. Most of the time, we can put them on birth control pills, and they have that regular periods that they long for. If the issue is having a baby, then of course we go down the path of diagnosis, because the polycystic ovary can exist with other issues as well. So we go through the proper diagnosis, proper workup of the patient and also the spouse, and then we come together. Now, just very, very broadly, if the issue is weight, because I say most of these patients are overweight, a big problem in the Middle East countries, in Oman, in Saudi Arabia, in the Arabic countries. Why? Because the change of diet. These people love sweets, and they love them so much. So very, very big problem. I was actually in a meeting one time, and the consultants who came there, they said, they have 40, 45, sometimes 60% of the patients that they see, they have polycystic ovaries. So when they lose, when you engage them in a program whereby they change their lifestyle, they change what they eat, how they eat it, when they eat it, an exercise program. Sometimes you may throw in some medications, to reduce the body weight. And if they reduce the body weight by about 7 to 10% of a period of about 3 to 6 months, the periods actually become regular. And once the periods become regular, it is a lot easier for them to get pregnant. So if it's a question of infertility, it's a different avenue. It's an issue of regular periods, it's a different avenue. Sometimes in the past, yes, we used to do open surgery and do what is called a wedge resection of the ovaries, and there was really no good explanation why by doing that surgery these women had regular periods and they got pregnant. But the explanation that came out is that you increase the surface area, you increase the area so not so many of these follicles, because a follicle is what carries an egg, not so many of these follicles come out, so they end up having 1 or 2 follicles coming out regularly. Nowadays we don't do that type of surgery. If we have to do surgery, then we do what is called laparoscopic surgery, whereby we put a camera in through the belly button, and then we do drill some holes. The effect is basically similar to what used to be done in the past.
Okay, now for those who have any more questions, they now have to consult doctor. Doctors worked overtime today. There was a quick question. The Diaspora said that my topic was not addressed. I hope it wasn't bluffing. I think it was a question about trucks. And I think you already addressed that question.
I think we talked.
I think we already talked about that. And I think you can just go back to the conversation and listen to it. But Daktari, before we let you go, please give us your contacts for anyone who wants to consult, for anyone who needs advice or anything. What's the best way to reach you?
And also don't forget your Facebook page.
Yes.
that you normally handle. You normally have
An assistant.
no questions.
Oh, it's a robot.
It's a Q&A
Okay.
on his Facebook page, and the title of it.
All right.
Yes. As you heard all throughout, my name is Dr. Kirekio Manu. I'm a consultant obstetrician and gynecologist and a fertility specialist in Nairobi. My offices are at Ngong Road, and the office building itself is called 5th Avenue Offices, on the 3rd floor, suite 314, 314. The number to the office, my office line, obviously +254, very easy to remember, 780 170 170. 780 170 170. That is to the office. My Gmail address is also very straightforward, kirekiomanu@gmail.com.
Very easy.
And the Facebook account that I do the question and answer, it's called Kenya Fertility Support Group. Every so often on Sundays, sometimes once a month, I do a question and answer, and you're more than welcome to send your questions there or your comments, and I'm more than happy to deal with them.
Okay.